Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 is an in-series reboot of the franchise. As a result, you will see a lot of the same characters from previous entries. However, they might be a bit different this time around, either in design or backstory. With this in mind, let's start analyzing the game by taking a look at the gameplay. The gameplay of Mortal Kombat 1 is much like many of the previous games, as not too much has changed. There are some mechanics that have gone away, and some that have been added. An example of something new to the game is cameo fighters. Cameo fighters allow you to have a secondary fighter that can be called upon a limited amount of times to deliver their moveset. What this allows is for one to plan to use their cameo fighter to cover a particularly weaker area of the main fighter's moveset. For example, adding a strong low attack to a character that otherwise doesn't have one in their moveset. And of course, fatalities return and are as gruesome as ever. Overall, the gameplay is familiar enough for longtime fans to pick up the game and play, albeit having a bit faster gameplay than the previous game. Now let's look at the story. The story of Mortal Kombat 1 is, as said previously, an in-universe reboot. The premise is that Liu Kang has reset the universe and rewritten history to be more peaceful. As a result, the Mortal Kombat tournament is no longer a bloodbath, and instead, an honorable mainstay of peace agreements between Earthrealm and Outworld. However, the peace doesn't last for long. A mysterious figure is trying to change the course of events and stir up evil by sending villainous characters down their previous timeline's paths. It is then up to Liu Kang and his disciples from Earthrealm to stop the past from repeating. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat? I'm gonna say right now, I feel like this, series Mortal Kombat, I feel like it's been going on for so long, and I'm honestly surprised that it's still around.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about Street Fighter, which came out with a sequel this year as well. But I feel like since Mortal Kombat has so many entries in the series at this point, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it might have had the chance to die earlier, in one of the previous entries, because I know that there's plenty of entries before that people just were not jiving with. They didn't like it for one reason or another, or maybe it was something as simple as like, oh, my character is not in this game. Why didn't you bring back a character that I like? And I think that's a thing that a lot of people have as a perception of Mortal Kombat, which probably is why they wanted to just kind of do a reboot of everything and kind of give themselves a little bit of a fresh slate. At the same time, though, it's not really a fresh slate because it's
Yeah.
a sequel still. It's a sequel to 11. It's
Right.
just like an in-universe reboot where Liu Kang decides, I'm going to just make everything start fresh. But yeah, at the same time, the game, it's pretty fun. I'd say the gameplay is solid, especially comparing it to the previous entry, 11. Uh, I'd say it's actually much better than 11. It's kind of like the series went in the direction it needed to go in terms
Right.
of the gameplay to hold itself in today's landscape, especially when trying to compare it to Street Fighter, which came out earlier this year. I think that it can hold its own. I will
Yeah.
say, though, I still prefer Street Fighter's gameplay than Mortal Kombat's.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I feel like it's very redundant, and I think it is because of Street Fighter. When they introduced the whole open world concept, and then you go immediately jump into this new readaptation, this whole new immersive experience where, there's a new timeline. We got different origin stories for every character, a part of the fabulous, Mortal Kombat franchise, but it just felt plain. I mean, even a lot of the cinematic moments that really kind of gravitates you towards the game loses me, at least, and I feel like a lot of gamers are expressing that online. I mean, there was just 2 weeks ago where people were protesting, Megan Fox being in the game because there was just no soul. There was just no love for the game. You just felt like she had no clue what the hell is going on. But you do got to give some love to Ed Boon because, he has broken the Guinness Book of World Record as the longest voice representing a video game character. And I know you know this, HenricK. Who did he just beat out?
He beat out Mario, voiced
Yeah.
by Charles Martinet.
Yeah, which that's incredible. And I know you're skeptical and you're going, man, I understand that this is a sequel to Mortal Kombat 11, but he also recently did a bunch of interviews hyping up the game release, and he did make a reference saying that he hopes that Mortal Kombat will have a lasting legacy similar to DC Comics, Marvel Cinematic Universe, or Star Wars. Is that possible?
I mean, here's the thing. It is possible, but at the same time, is it necessary? Like, I think that a lot of these IPs, whether it be a movie, a TV series, or a video game, they're trying so hard to do the whole extended universe thing like Marvel did. And I don't think you really need to do that. It's just kind of like, sure, it worked for Marvel, but now look also at Marvel how they're doing. All their stuff that's coming out is becoming overwhelming for people because you got to watch like 3 TV series and 2 movies
Yeah.
just to watch the one big movie that you really are excited for and get the full experience. So I feel like they got to kind of toe the line with this if they want to go in that direction, because if they kind of go in that direction too far, people are going to get tired of it. They're not going to be excited for a game. They're just going to be overwhelmed by all the stuff, all the changes, and all the multiverse stuff. Which, I mean, this game already has that multiverse aspect to it. But if they
But I
keep
mean, you
going in
did
that
say it
direction, it
was
could
getting a bit
be.
redundant, and you felt like it should have been died off like years ago. I mean, don't you think this is a strong move by the creator Ed Boon? Which I need to clarify again. Ed Boon is the creator, but he's the longest voice representing a video game character, and he plays Scorpion. So I mean, they've been around since 1992. I wasn't even born yet. The arcade scene was blowing up because them and Doom were essentially around when Al Gore's wife was going after the music industry, with Dee Snider showing up to the Congress hearings going, we're not going to take it. And essentially, ever since they put a label in on the music LPs, they eventually went after the video game world because of Mortal Kombat. And I think because of that stature, I think it's really hard to get rid of Mortal Kombat. There's so many iconic characters where I could see it branching off into television series and focusing just on Scorpion, just on Rain, just on Katana's world, or whatever. I mean, the possibilities around, especially if you got the Earth realm and the outer world. I mean, you could spin it off like crazy. Just look at what Star Wars is doing. Who would have thought that they would have so many different renditions of miniseries? I don't think the
I,
fans in the mid '70s ever thought that was coming.
I mean, yeah, you're right. There's plenty of stories to tell, but are they going to tell them well? Like, I
Hmm.
mean, look at how many video game adaptations have come out, even for just Mortal Kombat, and they've not been really great, honestly. I mean, yeah, there's been, good stuff. It's not all been just slop, but
You're
there
right.
has been a lot of slop at the same time. You can say, hey, maybe the original Mortal Kombat movies were charming because they had that cheesiness to them, but
Hey,
I
the
don't know. I
most
feel like
recent one, I kind of liked it. I mean, some people were kind of like 60-40 when it came to the movie, but when it comes to Mortal Kombat 1, to me, yeah, I'm with you, HenricK. I think it's definitely a pause. Like when you go to GameStop and you got that iconic wall where all the kick-ass games are. Mortal Kombat 1's going to fall in that little tiny square bundle that you see in the very center of the store where the used items. This is where that game belongs. Until they eventually break away from the whole 2D aspect and start bringing a more open world approach. Yeah, I feel like, you can't expect gamers to keep constantly paying $70+ and then a DLC bundle to play characters that are essentially going to move on after, I don't know, let's say 4 months. It's just, it gets boring after a while. You can kill the story
yeah,
within like 3 hours.
and then that's the thing. The game is $70, and kind of having a conversation about that with my friend groups, I feel like even within the friend groups of people who do play fighting games, they haven't really been excited for this because they feel like Mortal Kombat is kind of like a lower tier fighting game compared to a lot of the other games.
Really,
Not
like
to say
Tekken?
not. I mean, it's kind of like not to say that Mortal Kombat's fighting game gameplay is bad, but compare it to something like Street Fighter. One of my coworkers has this idea that you can just input all the combo inputs in Mortal Kombat games and then not hold the controller and it does it all for you. I don't know if that's that's probably exaggerated to an extent,
Probably
but
a bit.
at the same time, like I kind of get what he's saying, where it's more of like a casual fighting game, and he plays more of the more pro level fighting games like
No,
Street
I
Fighter.
totally get it. I mean, the biggest thing that you're not hearing with Mortal Kombat 1 is all this accessibility features that was being celebrated with Street Fighter. We even showcased it last season where, they had a blind gamer win a tournament. I mean, that's incredible because of the new adaptations to the accessibility features. That's really cool. I don't recall Mortal Kombat having that same appeal that people were loving. I mean, you and I remember even after the show, we were like, man, I can't wait to toggle with the settings. I don't know what the heck he's hearing or what he's hearing, feeling in the vibration that could give me an edge to parry or block or and etc. So, then again, but we haven't heard from you. I think I have an idea where you're going with this, but is it a pause or a repeat?
Well, definitely, I'd say, especially considering that horrible Nintendo Switch port, which is still full price, I can't let it slide as a repeat. It's going to have to be a pause for me.
Yeah.
Not to say it's a bad game, but I just, for me, it is a pause. And it's going to be one of those games that I only repeat if I'm playing it with a friend or two, and at that point, we're just trying to have fun.
Yeah, no, no, I agree. I think it's I'm baffled that they want $70. That's all I'll say. I mean, I think it's crazy. Just because that is the video game standard doesn't mean every single game deserves to be at that price tier. And that's the crazy part. And I'll be breaking down some of my theories later on when it comes to patch notes and how we feel about the subscription services moving forward. And I'll reserve it for that. But so that's why you got to tune in every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time if you want to know the deets. But hey, you heard it from us. It's a pause, fam.